Good evening, everybody. I'd like to bring this Board of Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, March 19th, 2025 to order. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, item 3 tonight is going to be tabled because we don't have the minutes of the last meeting available yet. So we'll approve them at the next meeting. So we move to, right away, we move to committee reports. And Commissioner Lester Berry, please.
Okay, thank you, President Higgins. This is the police report for the month of February. Incidents handled was 464, accident investigations was 23, criminal investigations 18, criminal cases cleared was 11, clearance rate for Part 1 crimes was 55%, Part 2 crimes was 66%. Now down to the automatic license plate readers. Pennell and Concord Road, 972,000. Pennell and Dutton Mills, 675,000. Concord and Dutton Mills, 662,000. Concord Road and Aston Mills, 532. Concord Bridgewater, 470. And Pennell and Glendale was 413, I think. That was a short month anyhow. Yeah, thank you. That's the end of my report.
Commissioner Prendergast.
Thank you, Commissioner Higgins. Reading road foreman activity report for February 2025. The road crew handled 5 winter events for the month. The events consisted of 2 freezing rainstorms and 3 snow events, with total accumulation of around 4 inches. Total time salting and plowing, 30.5 hours, with use of equipment consisting of 3 to 10 trucks and a backhoe. Public Works removed the flagpole before demolition of the building at 700 Turner Industrial Way. The flagpole was relocated at the corner of Red Hill and Concord Road on the property known as Reserve. High winds on February 16th and 17th caused multiple trees down and debris around town. The highway crew cleared 3 trees from our roadways. Bridgewater and Gordonville. This leads to 3 days for the Public Works Department cleaning roadways, parks, and other township properties. As a result of the wind effect, Public Works will send a chipper around this week of March 3rd to the 7th for curbside chipping of branches. The team did not conservation work on the rain gardens of the firehouse. Conservation. The work consisted of cleaning the outflow and replacing the riprap. The winter winds have taken a toll on our hero banners. The banners will be put back up in late March to early April. The saying is, March comes in like a lion and leaves like a lamb. Our sanitation department picked up 55 tons of recycling and 380 tons of residential waste. The following roads are state-owned and maintained by Pennell Road, Concord Road, Knowlton Road, Bridgewater Road, Dutton Mill Road, Aston Mills, Bernie Highway, Bodley Road, and Lemhi Road. If you have any maintenance or safety issues on any of these roads, please contact PennDOT at 610-566-0972. The next metal and appliance week is April 7th to the 11th. Also note that there's no trash or recycling on Friday, April 18th, as trash and recycling for that day will be picked up on Thursday, April 17th. Please have your trash at the curb by 6 a.m. on a designated trash day. Any questions and complaints, please contact Bill Sarcy, road foreman at 610-494-8005. That's the end of my committee report, Commissioner Higgins.
Thank you, Fred. Commissioner Doherty, please.
Okay, I have 2 reports tonight. The first is the Treasurer's Report for February 2025. Operating cash in the general fund as of February 28th, 2025, $1,586,886. Other funds include the TD Bank escrow checking account with a balance of $655,726. The 2022 Pliget account with a balance of $8,063,313. The TD Bank capital checking account with a balance of $2,285,284. Total cash balance for the township as of February 28th, 2025, $13,116,266. That concludes my treasurer's report. So, Commissioner Tinsley's not in tonight, so I will read the permits and licenses report. This report is for February 2025. The beginning balance is $49,633. Total income from building permits and general contractor licenses was $170,158. Total permits for electrical is $6,477. Total plumbing and heating permits, $2,802. Income from Board of Health licenses, $2,100. Income from peddlers and vendors permits, $300. Income from certificates of occupancy, $1,800. Income from rental licenses, $5,000. And income from street openings, $4,565. Total revenue collected for February 2025 was $193,202. The total so far for 2025, we've collected $242,835 compared to February 2024, where we only collected $103,078. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bowden, please.
The first report that I have is from the library. They wanted to let you know that there's going to be a travel for transit. SEPTA services are going to be at the community center at the library on Friday, March 28th from 2 to 4. So if you'd like to learn more about what SEPTA has to offer, you can stop up to the library for that. There's a cooking club on Monday, March the 31st from 11:30 to 12:30 at the library. The theme this month is something Irish or something green. And to remind you that there's a library bingo this coming Saturday at the community center. Hope you all can attend it so that you can help support the library. And I wanted to let you all remember that we have an Easter egg hunt coming up, April 12th at the community center. It will be at 12 o'clock. The bunnies will be there for the egg hunt and then inside for a bunny brunch for the children. The rain date is the following Saturday, April the 19th, and that will be at 10 o'clock. So hope all the little kiddies bring their baskets and come on out and find some Easter eggs. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. And last but not least, Commissioner McGinn. He has a lot of important information for folks tonight, so Commissioner.
Thanks, Commissioner Higgins. Two reports tonight. First, from the new building committee, progress continues, as everybody can see, going down Concord Road. Key factor is we continue to remain on time and on budget for that project to be completed and for us to move in the fall. Right now, you probably some of the things you can see, the walls, the roofing going up, but some of the things you might not be able to see even inside, some of those stairwells and things are being installed. So for those that know kind of construction, it seems like it's a slow pace at first as you kind of get utilities and then you start to go vertical and see things. So we continue to be on pace with those progressions and special thanks to the staff and core states and others who are monitoring our contractors who are doing a great job of making sure we stay on time. The second and more lengthy report tonight is a fire committee report. Typically, for those that are at the meetings or listen in, know I always try to highlight kind of what our calls, response time, manpower per incident, and our fire department continues to do a good job of that. But the real challenge that we're facing as a township and a region is with the Crozier hospital issues and the closure of the hospitals. Some people may have paid attention to it, more focused on the hospital piece, obviously. What happens if a hospital at Crozier and Upland Borough closes, on the other side of the county, Taylor Hospital and Ridley Park. So those are obviously important, health impact issues for residents. But the other part that people may be less familiar about is the paramedic service that Crozier provides and has done an excellent job in terms of that support in Aston Township for a bunch of years. Back in 2022, some people may remember there was a potential of that service going away. It was something that we evaluated, worked closely with the fire department. It was part of our fire committee, and fellow commissioners at the time, Commissioner Berry, Commissioner Bowden, and our staff, and looked at it, and ultimately, things worked out with Crozier to continue that service, and it made sense for us to continue with that. So we progressed and continue that service, and frankly, from a financial picture and a cost to residents, it It was done in a cost-efficient way that arguably has saved us, a significant amount of money, millions of dollars over the years. So now we're at a point where, as early as next week, Crozier may close its doors, shut its operations. And so our fire department, in terms of the ambulances, that doesn't change, right? We do that ourselves. Fire department does that and has that response with EMTs. But the paramedic, which is that, frankly, just an extra level of care, that is the chase car that you hear people talk about. And so if Crozier closes, that could go away. Even if Crozier doesn't close, that could go away. So as a township and a committee and a board of commissioners, we felt it's important to kind of prepare, ask those questions and try to decide, what should we do and how do we be prepared. So, we've looked at things in both the short term, kind of the immediate, and in the long term. So there's 3 different items on the agenda tonight. And so I want to touch on those 2, so if people have questions, they'll have a little bit more information when they come up. And ultimately, look, our hope continues to be that Crozier stays in business, the hospitals stay open, and they continue to provide ALS coverage. I think that would be obviously a best case scenario, not just for Aston Township, but for Delaware County as a whole. But again, we need to be prepared to look at, what happens if they don't. And so, we have 3 different actions. So on Monday, as a board, and we're ratified tonight in a public meeting, based off of input we got from the county, the state, and others, we declared a state of emergency in terms of related to Crozier. And so, why that's important, most people think of it as, a massive storm or flood. But really what it comes down to is kind of the financing and being able to recoup costs, when a township or somebody else declares that. So why we're doing that is there are costs that the township, has to incur, it has to bear. And so by declaring that state of emergency, we're letting the county know, and the state through FEMA, the state Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, know that this is an impact. And if you hit a certain threshold, there's a number of other townships that are either have already acted on this or are considering it. So if you hit a certain threshold, that triggers the ability for the state and the U.S. government to come in and be supportive. So that's what E is on the agenda tonight, new business. So the next part is I'm going to talk about is F on the agenda. So what happens again if Crozier and that chase car goes away? And so the reality is that could go away, and we can continue to function as a township, and everybody goes on with their happy lives. But what happens when life isn't so happy and somebody calls 911 and in the township and they need a paramedic to respond? Because the paramedic is kind of a mobile, intensive care unit almost, that an EMT just isn't for a number of reasons, and happy to get into that point. But so as a board, and it's important to hear the input from residents, but the view is, and talking as a committee with the fire department, this is an important service to provide. People don't want, and people we think expect in Aston Township that if you call 911, you have a good chance that, and it is an emergency for you or your family member, that you have a medic there. You have somebody there to respond, to help you get to the hospital and help you get that life-saving care. Not just you, your family member, your friend, your relative. And so, that's the action that we're taking to say, hey, how do we do something to fill that gap? And so item F on the agenda is special thanks to the fire department in particular, Ken Dawson, who some people may know, who's been a key liaison of this, and Kelly Pippin, had an RFP and said, what are these options? Who are people that can provide this service, and what would this look like? And I think we had 6 or 7 different bids, and the most effective operator, and frankly the only one that looked like, of the ones that could provide this service, it was also, one of the lowest bids or most beneficial bids financially is an outfit called Keystone Quality Transport. Some people may be familiar with it, some people may not, but comes highly recommended and referred from our fire department, from our emergency management coordinator, Tom Morgan, as well. I should have mentioned, it's been great through this. But does have a cost. And so, there are costs that the township's going to have to bear for this if we're going to continue to provide that service. So for people at the meeting or people listening, that's an important thing that we need to hear as commissioners, because it's your tax dollars, it's all of our tax dollars. Is this something that we want to support, or is this something that we're okay with having less support than what we've had in the past? So that's going to be important feedback that we need to do. But item F is approving that if Crozier should go away from providing the service, that we can have a contract with Keystone, that they can move in and pretty much pick up right where Crozier would leave off. So that's the goal with that part. And the third part is item A on the agenda, which gets into, a consideration of a resolution to authorize an intent to form a municipal authority. So one of the questions as you move forward and from a long-term perspective is, hey, how, again, if you don't have Crozier or that network that we've had in the past, how do you do this? How do you fund it? How do you support it? We've talked to all of our neighboring municipalities, whether it be Middletown, Brookhaven, Upper Chichester, Bethel, and even some, further beyond that. And everybody has these same questions about what are we going to do? What do we do if this paramedic service isn't available, can't be provided? And so, there's questions about regionalization. What does that look like? And one of the ways and a format that Pennsylvania law gives is the Pennsylvania Public Authorities Act. We do that for sewer, for example. Most of Aston does that for water with Chester Water Authority. And so to explore what that would look like in terms of an opportunity to share what those costs could be and provide that service, beyond just Aston's borders. So there's a lot more that has to happen with this. So if you have questions on the details of what this is going to look like, we don't know that because we don't know 100% that this is the right path to go down. But a first step to even consider it is you need to take the action that we're taking tonight. So it gives us that opportunity to do more work, do the due diligence, have more serious conversations with other municipalities to decide if this is something that makes sense. And so, there are some of the things we're considering. One other person I wanted to introduce to provide some commentary to is Sean Joyce. Sean's our fire marshal now, but Sean's a longtime president of Aston Township Fire Department. So I wanted, people to hear a perspective because, I appreciate everything that Sean and the fire department does, but, I'm not a volunteer firefighter, and neither are the folks on our board, but we do rely and we do get the input through the fire committee of Sean and his team. So I thought it was important too for, people here in the audience and people listening to kind of get that perspective too. So Sean, please.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good evening. I can honestly tell you this is probably the first time in almost my 30-year career where the county is faced with such a crisis that is potentially on the table with the closure of Crozier Hospital. The township leadership, along with the fire department, emergency services, and the police department, have been very proactive in trying to come up with a solution for something that we really don't have a potential end date for. So I can tell you that we've had many calls as a fire committee, which includes the leadership of the township, the police department, our administrative and tactical fire department leadership, to come up with the best thing for the township. In our professional opinion, continuation of advanced life support, ALS, is the right answer for the township. We are very fortunate from a basic life support standpoint that Aston has multiple ambulances and that are staffed here at the fire department. But that next level of care that Commissioner McGinn referred to is essential. So we've discussed many solutions. Commissioner alluded to Keystone as being the most viable for the township, which unanimously we all agree it would be. We are also in a position that if we have to react quickly and the closure is imminent on a certain date, which we don't know what that date, if and when it'll happen, that we're very confident that we can seamlessly provide advanced life support within hours' notice, which means that if Crozier decides that they are not going to provide ALS service, and that's just a potential, that within hours that we could have that replacement in the station and in service to support our BLS, our fire department, our police department, and the rest of our emergency services. Does that about cover everything you wanted me to?
No, that is, and I appreciate you doing that and giving the kind of perspective from the fire department. Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And so just closing on that, I wanted to make sure everybody understood the multiple items that we had on the agenda, what they were, ahead of that opportunity to comment publicly about it. Understand the position we're in and the challenge we're in, as a township and really the larger area that's impacted by this. And just know that there's, a lot of work and effort that's gone in to think about this and say, hey, how do we address these issues, right? We don't know, again, there was a bankruptcy hearing today. We had a number of people on that call from the fire department. Kelly Pippin was on from our staff. Mike Madrid was on, as a solicitor. And this is something for Prospect that doesn't just involve these two hospitals. It involves assets in a bunch of other states, Connecticut, California. And so, we don't know how this all is going to be sorted out. But we have decided that we're not going to just wait and say, okay, let's just see what happens and then start talking about it. We're trying to be proactive and come up with solutions. So having that feedback is important. And like I said, in terms of from a long-term solution as well, it's important, and there'll be opportunities to kind of talk through some of the things that we're going to explore, as we have more kind of meat on the bones for what those options could be, and allow people to provide their input and their comment on that as well. So I know it was a little bit long, but hopefully it's helpful, all of that, that download or whatever. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Higgins.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Sean. Good job. Thank you. Okay, item 5 now is approval of the treasurer's report.
I make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. And we move to number 6, approval of the bills and payroll report.
I make a motion to approve the bills and payroll report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. And now we move to number 7, open to the public for agenda items only, 1/2 hour. Okay, anybody interested in coming up speaking? In your questions, please address the chairman. Okay.
Good evening, members of the board, residents of Aston Township. My name is Barry Marvin. I'm a longtime member here at Aston Volunteer Fire Company. I sit on the board, co-chair. Also in the audience, we have the chairman of the board and our EMS supervisor. I do not want to take a lot of your time tonight. What I would like to is to reinforce some of the statements that were made here tonight. On behalf of the fire company, I probably would like to say thank you to the board, to the fire committee, for one, the communication, the lines of communication that were opened up, the progression that we've gotten through those lines of communication, and then also with that, the priority that this issue has been given. I don't want to speak too much on the Crozier's issue itself. We all are kind of aware of what Crozier issue is. However, with the fall of Crozier, the fall of those EMS services, what's going to happen there will be a wide effect throughout the county. Mostly with the ALS service, you will see effects with the BLS service, basic life support services also. We kind of see that now with some of the issues that they're having stating some of Crozier's apparatus now. With the discussions that have been going on, the thought and everything that's being put through, trying to address this issue, one of the possibilities was bringing on Keystone. Those effects that you would see would be minimalized compared to what you would see if we had nothing in place at all. So just to reinforce a little bit what Fire Marshal said, Mr. McGinn said, I'd like to take the opportunity to say thank you for what you guys have done with this. I look forward to continuing the discussions, and I hope we come to some kind of resolve in the future how we want to proceed. Should things happen, certainly with Crozier. Not that we want to see Crozier go anywhere, but it's a good possibility that this is the direction that it's going to head. Right now, you have a long-term issue that is going to need to be addressed, and this committee that was been put together, the fire committee, members of the board that have been addressing this issue, a lot of good discussion is coming about. A lot of work has been done by the administrative staff, vaccines and everything else. Ken Dawson spearheading on the fire EMS end of it, reporting a lot of information and stuff that I didn't want. So to address the end issue may take a little while to do that, and I think a lot of people realize that there's going to be some obstacles, there's going to be some hoops, there's going to be a lot more discussion. But in the meanwhile, to address that long-term issue, we need to address the short-term issue, and I believe that this is in a good direction in what we're heading, and everything that Mr. McGinn said and Fire Marshal Boyce said. So I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you for your being positive about this and for all the work you and the fire committee at the firehouse have done. We appreciate your efforts and for what it's done for the community. So thank you. Does anybody else have something they'd like to offer? Nick?
Nicholas Penza, 30 Morgan Road, Aston, PA. I understand what the municipal authority is. I'm just wondering, are we going in on it alone, or do we partner with another township or bureau?
Commissioner McGinn, could you give him a...
Yeah, I think it gives us the ability that we could structure it to go on our own or partner with others. So as mentioned, but you know, from a cost sharing perspective, there are some values to expanding that. So the municipal authority act gives us that flexibility.
So we're just going in on it alone?
No, that's not what I'm saying, but to a municipality, and Mike can elaborate on this as our solicitor, Mike Madron. But the Municipal Authority Act, a municipality has to form it. So somebody has to start in terms of local government. So all we're doing tonight is notifying that we're going to advertise. So it's kind of like the first step of a first step. But we're moving that forward so that it could be explored further.
Have you heard any word if any other municipalities around here want to cash in on this, chip in on this?
So I think the biggest thing that we've heard so far is that a bunch of the other municipalities have the same concern that we do. And a bunch of the other fire departments, outside of Aston have these same concerns. And so what we're trying to do is, and again, can't emphasize enough that we hope there's good news next week with Crozier, that the hospitals stay open, and that that they continue to be in the ALS business, because I think that's a win ultimately for Delaware County and Aston Township. But if that's not the case, it's trying to be prepared and looking at what those options could be to make sure that an essential service like this is still available.
Well, my opinion is, in the worst case scenario, and we do have to form a municipal authority, you should try and find another municipality to partner in on with to share the cost.
Yeah.
That's all. Thank you.
Very valid point, and something I know that we would commit to considering and exploring.
Thank you, Nick. Anybody else who would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll move on to old business. Item A, consider an ordinance regulating the placement of containers for collecting donated materials within the township. Commissioner Burry.
Thank you, Commissioner Higgins. Receptacles and bins, ordinance number 1046. An ordinance of Aston Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, regulating the placement of containers for collecting donated materials within the township. Definition: for the purpose of this article, the term receptacles and bins refer to such containers that are placed on properties for the purpose of collecting donated items and material. A permit will be required. Repeal of all ordinances and resolutions or parts of ordinances and resolutions directly inconsistent with any provision of this ordinance are hereby repealed to the extent of such inconsistencies only, enacted and ordained this 19th day of March 2025. Attested to by Kelly A. Pittman, Township Secretary, Michael J. Higgins, President of the Board, and that's in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item B, old business. Consider an ordinance repealing the restating section of 202.99 of the codified ordinances of Aston Township entitling General Code Penalty Complicity to set forth penalties for violations of services of said codified ordinances and complicity with such violations. Commissioner Prendergast.
Thank you, Commissioner. Aston Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Ordinance number 1047. An ordinance of Aston Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, repealing and restating section 202.99 of the codified ordinance of Aston Township entitled General Code Penalty Complicity to set forth penalties for violations of sections of said codified ordinances and complicity with such violations. Be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of Aston Township that, 1, repeal and restatement of section 202.99, section 202.99 of the codified ordinance of Aston Township is hereby repealed and restated to read as follows. 202.99 General Code Penalty Complicity. Except as otherwise set forth in any section of this code, and in below, any person violating any provision of this code shall be liable for a civil penalty not to exceed $600 per violation. Violations of a section of this code regulating building, housing, property, maintenance, health, fire, public safety, parking, solicitation, curfew, or water, air, or noise pollution shall be enforced by a criminal action in the same manner, provided by the enforcement of summary offenses under the Pennsylvania Rules of Criminal Procedure. Chapters of this code subject to this subsection shall include, but not limited to, 660, 680, 1420, 1426, 1428, 1440, 1442, 1444, 1446, 1448, 1450, 1452, 1460, 1610, 1804, 1808, 1816, 1824, 1828, 1844, 1856, 1860, 1868. Violators of any section covered by this subsection shall be subject to a criminal fine not to exceed $1,000 per violation and imprisonment to the extent allowed by law for the punishment of summary offense. A separate violation shall arise for each day of a violation and each code section violated. Penalties provided by this section shall be in addition to any fee, deposit, charge, surcharge, interest, insurance, or bond requirement or equitable remedy provided in this code or available to the township of the first class township code or law in equity. Each person who commits or aids or abets in the commission of any act declared in this code to be an offense, whether individually or in concert with another person or any other principal, agent, or accessory, shall be guilty of such offense. Every person who falsely, fraudulently, forcibly, or willfully induces, causes, coerces, requires permits, or direct another to violate any provision of these codified ordinances, any of these ordinances of the township shall be likewise be guilty of such offenses. Repeal all ordinances, resolution, or parts of ordinances or resolution directly inconsistent with any provision of this ordinance are hereby repealed to the extent of such inconsistency only. Effective date, the ordinance shall become effective upon its enactment of the Aston Township Board of Commissioners, enacted and ordained this 19th day of March 2025. Aston Township Board of Commissioners, Michael J. Higgins, Kelly A. Pittman, Secretary, this is in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Good job, Fred.
Thank you.
So we move on to new business. A, consider a motion to ratify the advertisement for the township solicitor as advertised for the actions that need to be taken for the forming of a municipal authority. Commissioner McGinn.
Thank you, Commissioner Higgins. I make a motion to ratify the advertisement for the township solicitor to advertise for the Board of Commissioners to hold a public hearing on April 16, 2025, upon which they may consider a resolution authorizing its intent to form a municipal authority.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item B, consider a motion to direct the township solicitor to forward an ordinance amending the Aston Township noise ordinance. Commissioner Prendergast.
Thank you, Commissioner McGinn. Higgins. Consider a motion to direct the township solicitor to forward an ordinance amending the Aston Township noise ordinance to Delaware County for their review. I make a motion to authorize the township solicitor to forward an ordinance amending the Aston Township noise ordinance to Delaware County for their review in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. We move to item C. Consider a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation, Natural Resources for the Aston Community Center Park Phase 3. Commissioner Bowden.
Aston Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, Resolution 2026-47, whereas Aston Township desires to undertake the project Aston Community Center Park, Phase 3, and whereas the applicant desires to receive from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources a grant for the purpose of carrying out this project, whereas the applicant package includes a document entitled Terms and Conditions of Grant, and whereas the applicant understands that the contents of the document entitled Terms and Conditions of Grant, including appendices referred to therein, will become the terms and conditions of a grant agreement between the applicant and the department if the applicant is awarded the grant in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. We move to item D. Consider a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for engineering design of the West Branch Creek Trail. Mr. McGinn.
Thank you, Commissioner Higgins. Aston Township proposed resolution number 2025-48. I make a motion that Aston Township move forward with a grant with DCNR for the West Branch Chester Creek Trail engineering and design phase. We as a township, the applicant, desire to receive from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources a grant for the purpose of carrying out this project. I ask for a second for this motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? The ayes have it. And we move on to item F. Consider a motion to approve an agreement with Keystone Quality Transport Company, KQT, to provide paramedic advanced life support, subject to the solicitor's approval. Commissioner
Did
McGinn.
we do A?
I think we skipped.
We skipped one.
They did?
Yeah, we do A.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sorry. The most important thing on the agenda. Consider a motion to approve the ratification of the declaration of emergency regarding the closure of Crozier Hospital and the ALS services provided by Prospect Medical Holdings. Commissioner McGinn.
Thanks, Commissioner Higgins. I can understand why you moved past this one, because I know you signed it on Monday to get it going. So
Thank
we've got to formally do it tonight. So
Thank you.
This is proposed resolution number 2025-49. It's not that long, so I'm just gonna read it, just because we've talked about this, so people don't understand what it says. It's a ratification for a declaration of disaster emergency, Prospect Medical Holdings bankruptcy. Whereas on March 17, 2025, Board of Commissioners, President Michael J. Higgins executed a declaration of disaster emergency in response to the bankruptcy of Prospect Medical Holdings, parent company of Crozier Health, and its effect on healthcare and emergency services within Aston Township and throughout Delaware County. Whereas pursuant to 35 PACS 7501B, a disaster emergency declaration is valid for a maximum of 7 days, except as may be extended by the governing body of a political subdivision. Whereas this board hereby determines that the disaster emergency underlying the declaration will last for an indeterminate amount of time. Now therefore be it resolved that the declaration is hereby ratified and the disaster emergency shall remain in place until revoked by action of this Board of Commissioners. Again, I make this motion and I ask for a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Now we'll move on to item F.
Thanks, Commissioner Higgins.
You got it.
I make a motion to approve the agreement with Keystone Quality Transport Company to provide paramedic, AKA advanced life support, subject to the solicitor's approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. We have ESCO releases next, number 10.
Thank you. So we have 3 today. So the first is for Benoni Associates. I make a motion for $5,940 to be paid for engineering fees to Benoni Associates for the month of March 2025.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it.
Thank you. The second is I make a motion for $3,200.41 for engineering fees to be paid to Cirilli Associates for the month of March 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it.
And the third is proposed, Aston Township proposed resolution 2025-50. I make a motion for Aston Township to release the sum of $66,830.37 to adhere to Delaware County Intermediate Unit's request for, okay. So let me rephrase and I'll start over. Hopefully that's okay with you, Solicitor Madron. Gotta keep you on your toes. So this is still proposed resolution 2025-50. So I make a motion for Aston Township to release the sum of $66,830.37, the amount's still correct, to Star Hill Grace Property Project located at 104-106 Pennell Road to reduce their amount of escrow.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Okay. So now we move to item 11. Again, open to the public for a half hour. This could be on any topic. So here comes Mrs. Papp.
Kathy Papp, 2931 Concord Road, Aston, thanks. Just 2 quick clarifications I'd like to ask. And the first one is for the new business A, that, I know that that's an advertisement, okay, but it's going to be happening at the same time as our commissioners meeting?
That's ready for the beginning.
It is? Okay. Yeah, same, because last time we had an open one, it was at the community center. The next question is, I know it's just for advertisement on B, but could you elaborate briefly just about what the news ordinance amendment will be? That wasn't me.
That was me. It was me. Solicitor, could you?
Yeah, I don't know if I can make enough noise to. This is, does a few things. First of all, our noise and odor and some other things are currently located in our zoning code under our performance standards, which makes it a cumbersome process anytime you want to change them. So the goal is to get them out of there and make them
And
stand.
just shift the location to make it easier and more manageable.
That's one thing. The second thing is, right now, we only regulate noise in the decibel A range, which is sort of the noise that we think about when we think about noise generally. We don't regulate the B range, which is sort of noise that's generated by vibrations. So this ordinance will do that as well. We had some incidents that you've heard about up at 5 Points, where people were, somebody had, I think, a train horn on their truck or something like that. So this noise ordinance will also regulate sounds coming from vehicles and obnoxious things like that, so that our police department has the tools they need to shut that sort of thing down. We are going to prohibit noise from construction on Sundays, because we've gotten some complaints of people working on the weekends, and we think that people should have the opportunity for a sabbatical from that. So those are some of the highlights.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it was changing the times from start to end into.
I don't think we ended up changing the times.
I know it's gonna be advertised, but I was
We've
just.
constrained the ranges a little bit, yeah. I need to punch it up a little bit because the idea to take it out of zoning came up a little late in the game, but once it's ready to be sent to the county, we'll get it on the website like we did with the 2 this month.
And kudos to you guys for not only putting it in.
Those kudos go in that direction.
Yeah, but not only putting it in the Delaware County Times, but also the website too, for again, more communication and transparency. So I already said that to them, but I'm saying it and acknowledging it to everybody, so thanks.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to participate here?
Who's here?
Are you participating, Commissioner?
Does he have to work as a neighbor?
Oh, he's sorry. Hi, Nick.
Les Penza, 30 Morgan Road, Aston, PA. I just wanted to go into more detail about what Commissioner Prendergast said during his committee report, particularly on all the violent windstorms we've been having. Now, we've been having more windstorms in this municipality because we are having more and more surfaces in areas in the town that rapidly heat. Now, as we know, as air heat gets hot, it rises. And as that air rises, new air must come in to fill the vacuum that hot air left. That's what creates wind. Now, we've been having more of this fast heating events due to more surfaces that heat more easily, rapidly, due to all the developments we've been putting in and the loss of our trees. Because trees usually act as buffers, both in reflecting sunlight, but also acting as windbreaks. So I just want to show a correlation between such new developments as Star Hill, or the one that will be going, might be going, I'll say, behind Aston Presbyterian. As we lose more and more of our trees and wooded lots, wind will get more violent throughout the years. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Keep in mind one thing, that we recently took on 46 acres over below Newman University, which will never be developed. So that's an important thing to keep an open space and protecting trees and so forth. So we do understand your concern. Anybody else have something they'd like to say? Okay, seeing none, we move on to other business. Commissioner Tinsley, would you like to offer something to us? No?
So, one thing, just so for folks to understand, I was gonna save this to congratulate Kevin on his son's confirmation tonight. So, congratulations, Kevin. And thanks for, slipping away to try to participate in the meeting and still be a good dad by being there.
And it's your turn, you get to take me.
You got it.
All right. Nancy, would you like to follow up?
Now, rumors are gonna start, Kevin.
There's only one thing that I want to address to the public. This past week, we lost an intricate part of our community
Oh.
to a young man by the name of Fred Miles. I just want to ask the community for prayers for his family. Fran and I have been friends along with his partner in crime, Joe, for over 45 years. And we're going to miss him. The baseball league is going to miss him. I just want the world to know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Doherty.
We're going the opposite direction tonight. First, I want to welcome our new stenographer, Lori. Welcome aboard. Second, every month we do committee reports. We have the various committees. Nobody really pays attention. We have police, finance, new construction, parks and rec, and fire. So this month I really want to call it the fire committee for all the work they've done. So it's we have our solicitor, Mr. Madron, our township manager, Mr. DeFeo, and Kelly, fire department, and the fire committee is Commissioner Tinsley, Commissioner Bowden, and especially Commissioner McGinn. They've done a ton of work over the last few weeks. We're addressing this crozier issue. It's really a crisis. They've done a great job, as you can tell by our ordinance or our motions tonight, to really to proactively find solutions and to try to mitigate this crisis. I really want to give them kudos.
Thank you. Commissioner Prendergast.
Yeah, Commissioner Higgins. Yeah, I'd like to thank, like John did, the fire committee and the fire company itself. And if all you guys up there worked on this, you guys did a fine job. Also, I just want to wish everybody a happy Easter. So what, the 14th?
No, it's next month.
It's the 20th, right?
Oh, well, never mind. Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah.
Commissioner Berry.
I'm gonna keep it short, you try and have enough. Thank you.
Okay. Bill?
Yes.
Kelly? Professionals? Joe?
I didn't hear about the Fran Miles, so condolences to Fran and to the families.
Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, I think I echo what Commissioner Dockery said. It's been really interesting work and a real learning experience working with the fire committee and the fire department on this EMS problem. And I will say that their leadership has probably helped some other municipalities in the county, because I got to tap on some other clients' shoulders and go, hey, you guys better be thinking about this. So quite frankly, I think they're saving lives and they're to be commended. And I also want to mention that when I was putting the kudos at the other side of the room on getting our ordinances online, that's also a push that Commissioner Higgins and Commissioner McGinn have made to make our the practice of law even in Aston a little more transparent for everybody. So I think it's something that they've been pushing on for a while, and it's good to see it happen.
Thank you, Mike. I also want to, everybody just keep Franny Miles and his family in your prayers. Franny's a longtime resident that has worked hard in the community for the benefit of the children and the kids and so forth. And so we should remember Franny. It's a big loss to the community. Also, want to thank the fire committee for the township, Joe and his members, Bill, Kelly, for your involvement in it, Michael, for your involvement in it, in counseling them, and Sean, for you, and Mr. Dawson for all the work you've done, the fire company's done, to bring this along. Your knowledge is very valuable to us, you, sir, also. So I want to thank all you for your hard work with this, and It won't fail because of our efforts. It will be somebody else's efforts that could cause it to. So I want to thank all of you again for your hard work, everybody, Township and for the fire company, okay? So, all right, so we're wrapping it up before 8 o'clock. How about that? So I need a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion.
So moved. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.